German Chancellor Angela Merkel faces a political challenge back home. Her interior minister has threatened to close German borders to migrants registered in other EU countries. For more on that, I'm joined by Jessica Solz, who's in Berlin. Jessica, do Germans back the interior minister's proposals?
Well, certainly Germans are in favour of tighter regulations when it comes to migration, especially after the recent scandal highlighting the failures of the federal asylum system here. But where Horst Seehofer's tough stance against migration perhaps finds the most favour is in his home federal state of Bavaria, where his CSU party there has been accused of adopting the far-right anti-migrant stance of the far-right Alternative for Germany party ahead of a regional election in Bavaria where the CSU has been losing support to the far right. Now, of course, this AfD far right party entered the national parliament for the first time in September, and they have really been shaping the debate on migration here in Germany. I spoke to members of Berlin's Muslim communities to find out why they are so worried about the success of the AfD.
Ahmad Denu arrived in Germany in December 2014 after fleeing the war in Syria, and he has been living in Berlin ever since. He recently co-founded a cultural centre to bring refugees and locals together at a time when he believes the public attitude towards migrants is becoming toxic. Can you give examples of ways that you've noticed that perhaps public opinion as you move around Berlin and Germany has changed towards refugees over the past couple of years?
I have a lot of friends, especially girls, who were facing a lot of problems because of the hijab. They were applying for kind of jobs or to get flats or that, and there were always the reason that you cannot come here because of your hijab, you have to take it off. Or accusation on the streets, or people just stopping you and telling you what you are doing here, you have to leave this country. It's you can see that a lot here, it's happening.
Politicians and members of anti-Islamophobia organisations discussed the spread of anti-Muslim sentiment at this event in Berlin. They believe that the official numbers of attacks on Muslims don't reflect the many daily occurrences that go unreported, and that the rhetoric of the far-right AfD party is to blame for legitimising hate speech.
Yes, it's really strongly influenced by the AfD. We saw a short summer when the Germans were warmly welcoming refugees at train stations and cheering them on. Sadly, the mood has quickly soured. There's a spread of right-wing populist, anti-refugee and therefore anti-Muslim propaganda. The populist debate has strengthened the AfD and they've grown from it. So the two things are very related.
Angela Merkel will attempt to get EU leaders to reach some consensus on migration at the summit in Brussels. It remains the most divisive political issue in Germany and the greatest test of her leadership so far.
Angela Merkel has been placed under an ultimatum by the CSU party to come back from Brussels with a viable solution to the migration crisis, which at the moment is not only dividing the Conservative alliance, but also therefore threatening the future of the German government.
High stakes then for Germany in the next 2 days over that EU summit. Thank you very much, Jessica Solz in Berlin.